Hello and welcome again. This is Todd from Figure Fiend. I am back after a couple weeks break from the Zolcon show. Just needed some time to sort of get back to it and take a breather. So this episode is going to be covering 80s sci-fi and fantasy films done in 8-inch articulated Mego style. So the first figure I went about doing at this time was Spectreman. Spectreman was one of the shows I grew up watching. Obviously, I watched Ultraman when I came home from school, Spectreman back to back, but I liked Spectreman far more for some reason. He was just more bizarre, and I loved his character design. So after that, I moved on to Clash of the Titans. This shows some of the modeling that I'd done for Clash of the Titans and some of the base pieces for the Mego figure itself. And this shows my early test run of just putting out those pieces, making sure they're the right size and scale and depth. And Harry Hamlin's head, I did resculpt many times over until I got it to a point that I was happy with. I hadn't done any character likeness stuff because it was all general horror and hero stuff. So this is the first time that I attempted to try to capture like what the actor looked like. And then playing around with some of the clothing. This is before I was doing suits, before I was sewing anything. So overall, I was very happy with the way it came out in terms of the accessories and just capturing the essence of what the character felt like. And the Mattel card art was so strong. The paintings are just phenomenal. So after that, obviously, Calibus was like the next choice for me. His leg issue, though, was something that I had to figure out, and luckily I did find that I could get my hands on this weird goat leg, which is perfect. He was pretty straightforward in terms of like making the individual pieces. I had done Clash of the Titan pieces already for Calibus, so it was just like restyling that stuff, adding more detail, and then once again using that fantastic packaging from Mattel. Beyond that was I wanted to do a Mattel style one in the Mattel colors, which is what you see here. So it's the black, it's the yellow, and obviously Karan was another character that I loved as a kid. He was like one of the figures I played with always. So this started off as a Reaper robe, and I had to extend it, and I had to do some dirtying up of it and sculpt my own skull and that sort of thing. And then I wanted to do the Beast from Crawl. This shows the suit design for this was the first suit that I'd done, and even when I'm doing a base pass, I always like sculpt everything and then print out the parts and then test them out, making sure that they're okay size wise. And then this is the final Beast with the suit that I'd sewn myself by hand. That was the first one. It took hours. And then I wanted to move on to the Prince after that and make sure his belt could hold the glaive and his sword could go into the side. He was really cool to work on and sort of try to get the head. After that, I moved on to Tron. These are some of my favorite suits I worked on. Just the sheer simplicity of them and the cleanliness of them. I think this is some of the best work, too, that Amber's ever done. Like, the suits are so nice and so clean and fitted so well. They're just phenomenal. And they make the figure. Like, there's very little beyond the suit that captures the essence of the character. I mean, granted, I had to make the head and I had to make the gauntlets and helmet and disc, but most of the design is the suit. And after doing these guys in the standard color style that you see in the film, I wanted to try to capture some of the glowing elements, so I did a secondary suit that had some of these glowing bits to it. And this was really fun for me to try to figure out the color levels there in terms of what the base color level was for the glow and for the default, and then make sure they read as glowing even though they're not glowing from the standard pose in that way. But they were really cool to work on. They're some of my favorites. I think the Sark is my favorite out of all of them, the glowing Sark. And obviously I love the Tron. Painting that stuff is very interesting, though, because you have to do everything in pure white many times and then coat it with the colors in a very thin way. After the Tron stuff was ninjas. And ninjas are interesting because they require a lot of components, but one of the best things about doing something like this, once you get that base ninja head down, you are set. And once you have an array of weapons, you can make lots of ninjas. So I started with Nero from Cole from Enter the Ninja. which he was amazing. He had so much gear on him, like the bow, the swords, the throwing stars, all that stuff. And just the posters themselves from that time period were really powerful. And I love the Frank Nero character. I'll probably do a mustache version just because he's great. And then I moved on to Sho Kosugi from Revenge of the Ninja when he was playing Cho in the follow-up film, and then Braden, which was sculpting unique head for him with the mask. I did do a half-mask version as well and added special weapons for him like the Kama, like the Caltrops. And just, it's another example of like really fantastic poster art from the time period. Like all that stuff was done by hand. It's phenomenal. And in my opinion, so much better than the photographic stuff that followed it. So I added in here, even though I've covered him in the past, the alien, just because he is part of the movie lineup. His suit and design took more time than anything else I've ever worked on. Sculpting the pieces themselves and making sure they fit properly and making sure the dome fit properly. He was the most time intensive of any figure I worked on. But, you know, very satisfied, and I love that now a small 8-inch version of him exists. So, again, thanks for your time. I have 3 other videos that I've actually lined up. I had been working on them for some time, and now I'm just getting to the point where I'm adding the voice to them. So thanks again, and once again, leave your comments. I will get back in touch with anybody with any questions. Take care.